Now, joining me for the next part of the show is journalist and best-selling author Kate Andersen Brower. Now, Kate has written for the New York Times and she covered the Obama White House administration for Bloomberg News. And her novel, The Residence, is about the world inside the White House. And that was the inspiration for the recently released Netflix murder mystery series of the same name, produced by Shonda Rhimes. Here is a little taste of the show.
Right now is a state dinner. There are 200 people down there, including the President of the United States.
Did anything unusual happen? Other than my boss dying? Other than that, yes.
If you want to understand the White House residents, you have to understand this. We are the House. All these other people, they are not. It's us versus them.
Oh, such a fantastic trailer, Kate. I mean, even as we were both watching and listening to that, I could see you smiling and I was smiling. What was it like seeing your book then being the inspiration for a Netflix show and being brought to life like that?
Oh, it was a pinch me moment. I mean, for sure. The book came out in 2015, and it was optioned a couple of times, and nothing happened. And then Shonda Rhimes optioned it, and I knew that it had a good chance of actually getting made because she's so talented and prolific, and everyone at Shondaland has just been amazing to work with. And they did something really fun with it. They took it in a totally different direction than the book, which is nonfiction. It's about the history of the White House, the history of the staff at the White House. And they were able to kind of keep the heart of the book, because the book is about, the housekeepers, the butlers, the people who are there from one administration to the next who are not political. And they did keep that, the heart of the book there on the screen. And I was thrilled to see that.
Now, it's a world, of course, very few people ever see, get access to. But your books really, I mean, you've written 6, 5 of them are about life at the White House. What does it take to make the White House run? And what is it like for the staff making it happen, what they see, what they hear, what they witness?
Oh, I mean, they see everything. There are about 100 people who work on the resident staff, and their career, they're there from, like I said, they're not partisan. There are people I've talked to who worked for Trump and worked for Obama. The people who worked for Obama loved him, some of them. And some of those people also loved working for Trump. I mean, Trump goes around and hands out $50 bills and $100 bills to the staff, to people that he likes. He's used to having staff, so that really helps.
I bet it
I
does.
found in my like the richer people, like the Bushes, they have an easier time having staff than people who didn't grow up being served.
Now, it's safe to say, Kate, that you know exactly how White House life works. In your view, I mean, you've touched a little bit there, but how do you think this current first family compares to others? How do they measure up?
Well, I mean, the Trumps push every possible limit, and they kind of throw the rule book out the window. You don't see Melania Trump in the White House like you saw other first ladies. They don't feel like they have to follow these rules and norms because they are just norms. They are just what has been done in the past. And Trump has shown that no one's going to force you to abide by them. So like Melania Trump hasn't been in the White House more than 2 weeks. I think it was 14 days that she spent there since January 20th. So that's a surprisingly small amount of time. We have never seen that before.
I mean, rules are made to be broken, I suppose, if your name's Trump. But where is she? I mean, you brought me seamlessly on to talk about her. Where is she? 14 days since the inauguration, since January that she's been seen at the White House. I think she's only been photographed once a month or something like that. Where is she, Kate?
I would be very rich woman if I knew the answer to that. I have no idea. I mean, she's in Palm Beach. She's in New York. I had heard that she was really interested in the first time around in White House history, and that she had read my book about first ladies. She had read many books about first ladies, and she worked very closely with the White House Historical Association to try to find out the history of the furniture. And she reveres Jackie Kennedy and all Jackie did to restore the White House. And then in this time around, it seems like she's kind of over it. She is deeply shook by the assassination attempts on her
Yeah.
husband, the one that came very, very close to killing him, right? And I think that that's made her afraid. Now, Barron's 19, he's in college. So, I mean, staying home to raise your son really isn't an excuse that can be used right now. Um, so I think she's just doing what she wants to do. And I think the question is, do we want, do we demand more of the first lady than she's willing to give?
I mean, if a first lady opts to have this kind of muted role, if you like, I mean, is that looked on unfavorably? Is she looked upon poorly because of that?
I mean, I think it depends on who you talk to. It's a really interesting
Well, come on,
question, right?
what's the general chit chat in Washington? What is being said about her kind of very low profile role this time around?
That it's a wasted opportunity, that it's typical Trump. They're trying to make money with the meme coins. It's very much about money, filling the coffers, right? There's a lot of I think concern about the blurring of the lines between the family's personal business and the government. It would be nice to see more of her. That's the general gist of what I hear, but I'm not talking to a lot of Republicans who probably think she's glamorous and wonderful and she should live her life.
Mm. I mean, I know it's been talked about before that she's intensely private and she does prefer to live in Trump Tower in New York or in Florida. But then she has done a book about herself and she's doing an Amazon documentary. So you're either private or you're not, aren't you?
I mean, it's a lot like celebrities and the royal family in some way too, right? That they want all of the good parts of their fame and none of the bad. And that's kind of hard to see. I mean, the Amazon deal is, I'm very curious what that doc is going to be like, especially if she has control over it.
Mm.
It's not going to be incredibly honest, I don't think. Her book was really interesting because in the book, she talks about being pro choice um, personally. And I was shocked by that. It was before the election, and I wondered if she did that on purpose with the campaign so that it would make women feel more comfortable voting for Trump and showing that he was married to a woman who was pro choice. But that's a really big issue that her husband has, helped overturn Roe versus Wade. And here she is saying she disagrees with him on this core value. I would love her to talk about that a little bit more. And like, do they ever talk about policy issues together? I mean, the sense
I
is that
can't
they don't really
imagine it
spend.
somehow. I can't imagine it.
Well, I don't think they see each other that much.
No, evidently. I mean, you were White House correspondent for Bloomberg when Obama was in the White House and Michelle and the girls. How do you think she compares? I mean, overall, you've written a whole book about first women. What do you think the role of a first lady should be? And, yeah, making a comparison with her and Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Michelle Obama would have loved nothing more than to not have to bring her kids to Washington. She would have loved to have not had to uproot her two young daughters, who I believe were 7 and 9 at the time, from Chicago to Washington. But she did it because that's what first ladies do. And as the first Black first lady, Michelle Obama came under just withering, blistering racist attacks in the White House, and she put up with it. So the idea that Melania can't kind of stomach time in the White House, it's just, these are two very different people.
The role of the Trump family loomed really large, it felt to me, in that first term. In my eyes, the role of the First Lady, the family, is all about, rubbing off the sharp corners and softening the image of a president. And it seems that this 18-year-old granddaughter, Kai Trump, is is almost doing that for him. I mean, she spoke publicly, didn't she, for the first time at the Republican convention last year, and she's got millions of followers on social media and just posts about going on Air Force One or walking around the White House. I think we've actually got one that we can play at this point, Kate.
Now we're actually pulling into the White House.
Yes, I hit it. Do the Trump dance.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah.
I just want to say that I play a lot of golf with Kai, and she's a fantastic golfer. She's a scratch player, which is amazing.
What was it like growing up, being Grandpa's first kid?
Ooh.
Dad, golf is pretty easy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm the fail Trump because I'm the only Trump that doesn't play golf, so it's I'm the black sheep.
All right, we're walking onto Air Force One right now.
What do you make of her input to this family and to the family's image, Kate?
Well, I think that was really charming. She's a very accomplished young woman and she's very well spoken. I think that she's giving people a peek into a president that, as you said, like normally it's a first lady that helps sort of smooth those sharp edges. Like Melania Trump would be the one doing it. And now it's Kai doing it. She's making him, he's grandpa to her. And I think that's really sweet. And I think actually in that clip, she was talking about her dad in a way that when Donald Trump Jr. said, "I'm the black sheep of the family," kind of being, because I don't play golf, kind of being self-deprecating. We do not see self-deprecating from Donald Trump.
Do you think she is just a teenager being a teenager, videoing, grandpa's garden, grandpa's plane or whatever? Or do you think there is much more of a strategic role she's playing in the Trump PR?
I think it's more strategic. Yes, they do things off the cuff, and we know that they like to make things look like, when he tweeted back in the day, when he would tweet, now he's on Truth Social, it's very much, he doesn't always just do it off the cuff. Like he does have staff who looks at what he's doing. And I think that she could never post something without running it by somebody. There's a big infrastructure around Trump this time around that he didn't have before with true believers. So I think it's brilliant the way it looks like it's just something that's casually done, but I think everything's orchestrated.
That is very interesting, Kate. So actually, as natural and as off the cuff as you say it looks, it is in fact choreographed to a point. Although, seeing him do grandpa dancing on the front lawn or whatever, I'm not sure I'd want to. I'd want that publicised. Maybe. Do you think also, I suppose, that she is Donald Trump's route to the youth once again, like during the presidential campaign on TikTok? Do you think that's part of the whole strategy too?
Oh, yes, definitely. It would be great if Barron Trump could be a little bit more comfortable in that role. But once again, this is just something you're born with. And I think we've seen this a lot of times, the charisma, the extroverted kind of personality. Barron was always very awkward. He's very tall and kind of like he went through a lot of that awkward phase in the White House. Having a grandchild, granted, she's basically Barron's age. Kai is just naturally removed from this. Is not her father. This is her grandfather. So I think that remove is like gives grandchildren everywhere. In any family, a little bit of a less complicated dynamic with the parent. The grandparent is fun. She's trying to bring out the fun side of Trump. And I really thought that convention speech was the best thing that they could have done because they made him seem like an actual normal grandfather. And that is not something that he has ever shown. He won't have a pet. He doesn't have a dog. But, presidents often want to be playing with their kids on like the South Lawn. The Obamas had a jungle gym. That is not Donald Trump. He is not warm and fuzzy. And I think Kai is doing a really good job of trying to show that side of him to people.
Just going back to Melania, Kate, I've read quite a bit recently about this during this second term. She's dressing even a bit differently, much more muted greys and blacks and whites and creams in comparison to some really rather fabulous gowns and things that she wore, and extremely expensive designer gowns that she wore in the first term, much more glamorous and noticeable. Do you think this is generally exactly how she wants to play this second term? Or do you see perhaps maybe her coming to the fore again a bit more?
I thought her style has been very kind of a lot of suits and very kind of restrained. I mean, if you look at that very wide brimmed hat that she wore at the inauguration, where he couldn't even really lean in and kiss her, and her eyes were veiled, like it was almost like a mask. It was like armor. It seems like she's wearing armor to me.
Is
She's
that
been through this
to repel the whole concept of being a first lady, or is that to repel him?
well, that's a very good question. I think to repel the critics. I mean, I think she just feels like coming to Washington is just coming to the lion's den. You know, people, if you look at the approval ratings here, Donald Trump is very disliked. And you really are in the heart of this city where there's a lot of anger. There are a lot of federal workers here who have been let go. There's just a sort of simmering feeling here of real, I wouldn't say hatred, although for some people, but like disdain for the Trumps. And so why would she want to come here, right? I'm sure it's the same in New York, but like maybe if I were her, I'd be in Mar-a-Lago a lot because he has the club and those are his friends. And it's just so warm. Who wants to go somewhere where you're really reviled? It's just not a friendly atmosphere.
Yeah, and she's just saying no this time, maybe. She doesn't want to be a part of it. Maybe it is understandable. Who knows? Thank you very, very much, Kate. It's been a delight to talk to you. Thank you for your time and for your insights. It was fascinating.
Thank you. It was fun chatting.